Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz.
That means
Who wants to explain that pasuk?
Bereshit number one.
Bereshit 1:1. The first pasuk in the Bible.
We back.
All the way back.
We finish.
All the way back.
After the Barim we back again.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. מה זה Bereshit? First of all, Bereshit, how is it translated? In the beginning.
It's not accurate, right?
It's not accurate. Why?
That's it.
Why? Because I'm asking.
Because Reshit.
Yes. Bereshit is a word that needs simichut. It needs to come with another word. For instance, there's a pasuk, Bereshit mamlechet Yehoyachin, which means at the beginning of the reign of Yehoyachin. So what does Bereshit mean? It means in the beginning of. For instance, you're going to go to Netilah, right? The French, what did they say? Netilat Yadayim, they say Netilat. Right? What is Netilat? You can't say Netilat. It's Netilat Yadayim, Netilat Raglayim, Netilat Lulav, I don't know. Right? Birkat or Birkat Amazon. Birkat Levana. Birkat has something, right? Netilat something. Bereshit something. Bereshit what?
Tachanat.
Huh?
Tachanat.
Tachanat. Tachanat what? Tachanat רכבת, תחנת אוטובוס.
Tachanat. משקפי.
So Bereshit what? So okay, so some like to say Bereshit Bero Elohim. That's how they interpret it. They won't read it that way. They'll interpret it that way. Bereshit Bero, the beginning of God's creation. But there's another problem. If you look at the ta'amim on Bereshit, there's a ta'am there and tarha. Ta'am that goes like that. What does that ta'am mean? It's a pause. It's a stop. So instead of conjoining to the next word, first of all, the conjunction is missing. The next word is missing. And the ta'am is telling you to stop. It says Bereshit. Full pause. Bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz. What does that mean? So what does Bereshit mean? So some want to suggest Bereshit is talking the beginning of time. All right, that's probably the natural way to interpret it, where you'd naturally go. One problem is that time doesn't exist. Right?
At this point.
At this point,
Yes.
time doesn't exist. There is no time.
How do we know?
Time is a product of Bereshit. How do we know that? Pasuk Hey.
Pasuk what?
ויקרא אלוהים לאור יום ולחושך קרא לילה ויהי ערב ויהי בוקר יום אחד. Right? And the Chachamim, they asked, why does it really say one day and not first day, like all the other days, second day, third day, fourth day? On the first day, it doesn't say first day, it says one day. It doesn't even say day one, by the way. It doesn't say day one. It says one day. So, first of all, what does that mean? Time itself is a product of creation. That means Bereshit isn't talking about time. Reshit has another meaning in Hebrew. Anyone know?
No.
Reshit and Rishon could mean beginning in time and also mean beginning in cause and effect.
Cause and effect?
Yeah, means primary. It means the reason for everything. For instance, I've brought this example before when we're studying in Chot Yesodei Torah. right? How does Hilchot Yesodei Torah? The first sentence in the Mishneh Torah starts after the introduction, right? The first sentence starts, Yesod HaYesodot ve'amud HaChochmot, right? The foundation of all foundations and the pillar of all wisdom. Lida, to know or to acknowledge. Sheyesh sham masui rishon, that there is a primary being. And what is a primary being? We call this primary being Hashem, right? But what is the meaning of a primary being? Well, it's not once upon a time there was a creator of the heavens and the earth. It means every single phenomenon you look at in the world is the effect, is the result of some cause. And that cause was the result of a previous cause. And that cause was the result of a previous cause. You know, children, they have this very annoying tendency to ask you a question, right? Why do I have to eat dinner? Right? And you tell them because you need food to sustain yourself. Why do I need food to sustain myself? Right? And then you start to say, then why this? Why this? And where do you go back to in the end when the parent gives up? Says that's the way God decided. Right? Why is the sky blue? Right? If you know the answer, you'll explain the physics behind why the sky looks blue.
Why rain?
Right? What is the cause of a rainbow in the sky? Right? You say, okay, well, there's water droplets in the atmosphere after the rain. That when the sunlight comes, it refracts, and when it refracts, all the different wavelengths of the light split, and you can see them. It says, why does all of them come from the sun? It says, well, the sun is a very high temperature body that emits light. This is why is it such a high temperature body? It says because it's tremendous amount of mass, and the force of gravity is pulling everything to the center. It causes a lot of pressure, and it radiates. Why is the force of gravity? It says, well, the force of gravity came from the separation of the four fundamental forces at the moment of the Big Bang. He said, why did the Big Bang occur? What do you say?
Big Mac.
That's what God decided. But every single phenomenon in the world, why is this the way it is? Well, that's how the manufacturer designed it. Why did he design it this way? Well, I don't know, because that's what the market forces decided that he needs. Why did them? You keep going back and back. That's what a primary cause is. Behind every single phenomenon, not just once upon a time, God created a universe. But God is the reason, the cause behind every single thing in the universe. So when the Torah opens,
You know what's the phenomenon I asked me?
when the Torah opens, it says Bereshit, full stop, bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz. It says primarily, which you need to know, where did the heavens and the earth come from? God created the heavens and the earth. And what Bereshit comes to tell you is that God is the primary cause, right? He's the reason for something. There's a reason for the creation of the universe. And if there's a reason for it, it means there's meaning to it. It means that this universe that we're living in isn't random. It isn't spontaneously flash into existence. It was caused into existence, and it has a purpose that the Torah is telling us. There's a purpose for this universe, and the Torah, the rest of the Torah is going to tell us how to achieve that purpose. Bereshit, the primary cause, the reason, the meaning of everything, first of all, God created the heavens and the earth. And you want to ask something?
Yes. My, I forgot. But it's one of the things that, one of the, the sun is here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why only in the earth we have a light and outside we don't have no light? It's dark. Here in the earth, when is the sun up, we have light, but outside where the sun was, is dark.
Anyone know? It's because of the atmosphere. Outside the atmosphere, you won't see
It
because
comes directly only to the earth.
no, it goes everywhere. You'll have light if you go to the moon. You stand on the moon. What you're asking is that why is the whole sky dark? If you're standing, if it's daytime on the moon and you're looking and you're facing the sun, right? Still, the whole sky around you is black, like nighttime over here, right? Over here, if you're standing on the daytime, the sky is blue and not black, right? Why is that? So it has to do with the atmosphere. Um,
That is a phenomenon. That's why when you say the phenomenons, I said
Yeah.
this is one.
that's a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Why? That's what God decided. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim v'et haaretz. What did he create? He created, there's two things here. Et hashamayim v'et haaretz. What's that?
The Shemaim and the skies and the lands, so
The land.
birds.
And the earth. Okay.
The lands.
But then look at the next pasuk. V'ha'aretz hayita tohu babo v'choshech al pnei tehom. Right, the whole chapter from now on says, what are we going to be discussing? Haaretz. V'ha'aretz hayita tohu babo. This was the condition of the haaretz. And then later on, he goes on the second day, he separates the waters. Right, let's jump for a second to the second day. All right. Verse 9, Vayomer Elohim yikavu hamayim mitachat hashamayim mimakom echad v'tereh yabasha. Right, he says, let all the waters gather to one place, and then you can see dry land. Vayikra Elohim layabasha eretz. He says, then God named the dry land eretz. Umikveh hamayim karayamim. Oh, sorry. Before that, I wanted to show you. Right? Sorry, that was the third day. The second day, it says there should be a firmament in the waters, and it should separate between waters and the waters. And then he made the firmament. To separate, differentiate between the waters above and the waters below. And then he calls that Vayikra Elohim l'rakia Shamayim. He now defined this rakia that we see as Shamayim. And later he defines the dry land as Eretz. But in this first pasuk, Bara Elohim et Shamayim et Haaretz, the Shamayim that he calls, or what we call the skies with all the stars and everything in it, was only defined on day 2. And the earth that we call planet Earth was only defined on day 3. The stars themselves were only set when? Day 4. So in the first pasuk, when God says, when the Torah says, Bereshit bara Elohim, first God created the heavens and the earth, what's he talking about? What are the heavens and what's the earth? They don't exist yet. Even if he brings it to exist, they haven't been defined yet. Only the second, third, and fourth day, these things that we today call heavens and earth exist. The whole first chapter deals with what? The first pasuk refers to as Eretz. V'ha'aretz ha'ita tohu v'bohu. And that's the entire physical universe.
That means that carrots need to make it from the particles.
The particles.
When like
We're not going to go, the whole process of how.
the Sami, I'm here for what you're saying. Adding mentions.
So Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz. Right, God created the heavens and the earth. And then now he turns his focus to the earth, or he's not going to tell us what the shamayim contains. And the whole first chapter of Genesis talks about the physical earth, the material universe. Right? And now he starts separating things, right? He takes the waters, he separates them. He calls one part of the waters Shamayim, the other calls Yamim, right? He says, let the waters gather. His first command is to create light. Right after that, who's he commanding? He says, Yikavu Hamayim. Who's the command to? Adam doesn't exist yet.
Who's the command of
Yeah. Look. No, look. ייקבעו המים מתחת השמיים.
ברכות שמזקקות נראה לי את הנושא הזה.
What's that?
מצאתי כמה ברכות שנראה לי מזקקות את הנושא הזה שבאת להגיד.
נו.
יש ברכות על גילוי אמת מדעית ושכלית במעשה בראשית, באחד מהם, כאשר אדם נחשף לחוכמה עמוקה, פותר תעלומה ומבין את עומק חוקי הטבע, יש ברכה על חכם תורה. אם האמת התגלתה דרך לימוד תורני מעמיק, הוא אומר, ברוך אתה אדוני מלך העולם שחלק מחוכמתו ליראיו.
ליראיו, כן. זה אם אתה פוגש תלמיד חכמים.
והברכה על חכם מדע וטוב.
כן, אבל זה עוד בהמשך. אנחנו עוד לא הגענו, we didn't reach there yet. Adam doesn't exist yet. What exists now? It says v'haaretz hayta tohu v'bohu, right? Haaretz, you have, call it earth or material.
Torah exists.
Torah exists. The Torah exists. It's not mentioned here. Actually, it is. Hashem kanani reshit darko kedem mifalav me'az, right? That's talking about the Torah. This is God acquired me at the beginning of his creation. The Torah is called the Reshit. So the Chachamim learned from here that the Torah existed before the creation of, or it's actually mentioned in the first word, Bereshit. You could even say with the Torah, God created the universe. That's one way of reading it. What that comes to say is that the Torah is like the blueprint of the universe.
אם זה רגע של הבריאה עצמה, אז יכול להגיד ברוך אתה אדוני מלך העולם יוצר האדם, לא? תכלס, כי זה הרגע שזה קורה.
לא, אדם זה יום השישי.
ביום השישי, ואז הוא מברך לקראת...
אנחנו עוד ביום הראשון, we're still on the first day. You're jumping. What exists now? והארץ, ארץ הייתה תוהו ובוהו, וחושך על פני תהום, ורוח, on the wind, על פני המים. Right? There's the four elements. The four elements. And now what? He's going to start separating the elements, working with the elements. The first one is the mind. So what is his first command to? The mind. First thing he commands is, let the waters gather. Right? And then he gives more commands to the water. Right? This is first, let's separate the waters, and then let's gather the waters. Right? And then what happens once he gathers the waters? Tera'eh hayabasha, you'll see dry land. And then what happens on the next day?
You talk about the sixth day?
No, not yet.
Which day you talk?
You like the sixth day, huh?
יום השישי וילכו לשמיים
רגע.
איי.
Grass.
Who does he command on the first day? Not the first day, the second day, he commands the waters. Right? On the third day, who does he command?
Plants, no?
Ah?
Plants.
No, Totze
Land and sea.
Haaretz. Says he commands first, brings light into creation. From the light, he creates water. From the water, he commands the waters and creates land.
All the
And now he created land by commanding the waters to generate land. Right? And now he's commanding the land to generate grass, right? But the land has a couple of commands there. Right? Makes grass, makes animals of the land, right? And then Adam. What is Adam? Where's Adam made from? From the earth.
chicken comes from the earth.
Huh?
The chickens make from the earth the water. Chickens. The chicken.
The birds.
Birds
Birds,
comes from the
yeah.
water from the earth.
According to it comes from the waters.
Yeah. From the mind, right? It's really like it's when no one's
There's a reason for that, but you'll have to read my book.
I'm totally difficult.
Where's the star for them?
What I find.
It's still here.
You have one already, right?
Yeah, second.
Finance.
Yeah.
I'm working on a book now on Bereshit, so it's being drafted. I'll let you know when it's ready.
We're missing day 4.
Right, we skip day 4. What would you like to say about day 4?
No, because we try to bring in the chain of cause and event.
Mhm.
Missing the stars and the
I skipped the stars.
Yeah, light. It's very important. Yeah, the water and from there light.
Hashem really cool and also the bird. It's pájaro, aves, pollo y todo.
before the creation, the water already exists.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Before the creation,
Yeah.
in Bereshit,
There was no before the
the
creation.
water is already existing.
Before creation, nothing exists. There is no before.
Torah.
Torah, okay. There is no such thing as before creation because time didn't exist. Time is a product of creation. Same way that space itself, it's not that space. If you look up to the skies and you see space, right, and the stars, before creation, there was no stars there. It was just empty space. There was no empty space because there was no space. There was no space, there was no time, there was nothing. Space and time are products of Bereshit.
Some crazy people say that before this world, which is explained in this Bereshit, before that, the other world was exist.
What's the other world?
I don't know, with different creatures.
What different creatures?
I don't know. We don't know. It's not written.
What do they say?
But
I don't know what they say. I don't listen to them.
He say the spirit of
But I
Hashem
heard-
they move in the water.
What's that?
That before the creation, he say his spirit of Hashem moved in the water.
Before?
He say he moved on the water.
Yeah.
So his water
Who moved?
exists.
Says the wind moved on the water.
Yeah.
Says the wind was hovering on the water.
So his water, the water what exists before. Exists
It wasn't before.
No, it exists before.
Says God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth, says when he created the heavens and the earth had these things in it. Right?
You're right. I do right. Thanks.
Listen to me.
Yes, you're right. I agree. Yeah, you're right.
If you're flying to the moon, which blessing you bless when you're on the moon?
Wait,
On the moon, we didn't get to the moon yet. I'm still on Earth.
wait, nah.
The earth is
Is
flat.
that Elon Musk? Why don't you ask me questions about Mars? I don't know yet.
Is that, these are like the only two constants, right?
What?
Space and time, space and time.
I say there's a third. I'm talking about not constants, dimensions.
no constants in the sense that, for example, if you see if you take the universe as a type of equation,
Mhm.
it's or a program or whatever, it's the only two constants, the only two things that are that always remain. It's like like it's space and time, and
The space and time it's the structure, it's the geometry of the earth,
absolutely
of the universe.
like
I say it's not a complete geometry. I think there's another part to that geometry. But maybe we'll get into that soon.
And that dimension where
No, we're in all of them. Space, time, and there's another dimension. Sefer Yetzirah says there's 3 dimensions, not 2.
Sefer Yetzirah, that's
Sefer
very
Yetzirah.
peculiar for you to mention that.
one dimension is like
Very peculiar.
Well.
No. Let's stay in.
Well, I picked his interest.
No. I don't really. I never read
Come,
so hard.
Tell us the other dimensions, Rabbi.
I've never read. But it's obvious that Pininut, that there's a Pininut in every. Okay, but in this sense, for example, so.
And by the way, they're all defined here in Bereshit. You just need to know how to read it.
Of course.
How is space? Space is 1 dimension. What is a dimension, by the way?
Depends on how you who you ask.
Yes.
So that's why it's better to see it as an instrument. It's more of a constant.
What's a dimension?
Yeah.
This is X, this is Y, and this is
Yeah, you're
right.
in depth, but this depth is just space.
It's all
Moving
space.
in.
This is all space.
No, depth
These are 3 dimensions of space.
Depth is space moving in time. So the question is really
Depth? No. Depth. Depth
Depth.
is there's 3 dimensions of space.
So
There's length, height,
height
and depth or width.
yes.
Right?
But depth, you could have like length and the first 2
Yeah.
without time. It's
Okay.
until you get
That's
there.
okay.
And,
So
and
all
that's
this
depending on
in physics is reduced to x, right? Well, over here, this is reduced to t. What's t?
time.
Time, right? So according to standard physics, space and time are 2 dimensions on the same axis. And I say, based on Sefer Yetzirah and also the reading in Bereshit, that there is another axis here. And what is that?
Being, existence, and it's
Existence is all of it.
on its, but that's
It's all of
not
it.
actually.
What is the component
time
of existence? Is nefesh.
Nefesh?
This is consciousness.
Yeah, I know.
And Sefer Yetzirah calls it olam. Olam is space. Shana is time. And nefesh would be consciousness.
You're taking time as a linear thing, or
No.
No.
Time as part of the, how do you call it, of the space-time consciousness continuum.
So it was first, in this sense, time was creating space while it was timing or happening. Have you read the Heidegger? The time
I haven't read it.
It's philosophy, but
But I think you're gonna enjoy my book because I got it.
I love the themes. No, and it's from physics is like
What book?
The book I'm working on now. It's not ready yet.
Okay.
Very soon, you can find very soon.
Hopefully
So
soon.
very check.
Hopefully soon.
2000 check it.
2000. Yes.
So I'm coming back with my with that idea.
With your question that you had
My
before
question, yeah.
in the
So
office.
it says in Bereshit Rabbah and in Kohelet Rabbah that God was creating worlds and destroying them.
Okay, the
So what does it
previous
mean?
one. Borei olamot u'machrivan. Yes.
So before he created this world and he.
I don't think so.
You
I don't think that's
so?
what it means. I don't think that's what it means.
So
Okay, I'm gonna explain to you. I'm gonna give you an idea from my book. Mine is Mayim is the prototype of all material. Why?
Why?
First of all, philosophers, they talk about four elements. When they talk about four elements, they're not talking about what we call elements here, right? But then the elements, those four, we'll call it ideas of elements, started to take structure. And what is the first element that we have?
Water.
Huh?
Earth. Earth.
What?
Light.
First, you know the periodic table? Who knows?
Yeah,
It looks like that.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. What is hydrogen?
Gas.
Gas.
Hydrogen, okay, it's a gas, but hydrogen actually in the periodic table has its own category of elements. There's four categories of elements in the periodic table. People only say three categories of elements because hydrogen isn't part of any of the categories. It's its own category.
Yeah.
What is hydrogen? What's its atomic
Gas
number?
is-
What is every single element made out of? It's basically made out of hydrogen. What's the next? What's atomic? What's atomic number two?
Helium.
Helium. What is helium? Two hydrogens. Two hydrogens fused together. Right? What's next? Who knows? By the way, what's helium? Helium, one of the four elements.
Beryllium.
Gas.
Is
Still a gas.
it's the noble gases.
Yes.
Noble gases means it doesn't interact with anything. Right? That's the element of air. What's the next element?
Aluminum.
Lithium.
Beryllium.
Lithium. What's lithium? It's called the alkali metals.
Yeah.
It's the whole category below the whole first how do you call it? The whole first
Wow, you made me crazy.
what is alkali metals? Anything they touch, they burn. They turn to fire. Okay, so now we have atom 1, helium, atom 2, hydrogen, then 2, helium, then another 3, right? We have lithium, all this together, 6 brings us to, who knows what 6 is?
Carbon.
Carbon. What's carbon?
Edits.
Exactly.
So gravity is, in your perspective, just to
In that perspective,
well, from a Rambamistic perspective, gravity is
Gravity was unknown as a force.
It's
to the
a
Rambam.
type of malach, right? In kind of.
Yeah.
You used to, but space and time is not.
No, I wouldn't say, no, I wouldn't call them a malach.
Okay, so malachim are not, in a sense, they have agency.
Yes.
Not a correct, not
Yes,
a complete agency,
Yes.
because they're kind of like cats, without disrespecting if that can be.
They're
Okay.
intellects, they
Of
understand,
course.
they have agency, yes.
They respect and all that stuff, but not.
But now look at this. God formed the waters, the elements. Then he commanded the waters, right, to form the carbon, the earth, or we'll call it all organic matter, right? Organic matter produced, what was the prime production of the organic matter? God spoke to water to create
Life.
earth. He spoke to earth until it produced what?
No,
Huh?
But it was water and then life.
Then what was the top production? Where's Raz? We're on the 6th day. Raz, where are you? What was produced on the 6th day? Man, the animal, right? And the epiphany of all animals.
ברוך אתה אדוני מלך עושה מעשה בראשית. That's what you say, but before.
Oh, now you're back to the first day. What happened to you?
I'm in the 6th day, right?
You're going backwards, Raz.
So what I said about the Adam?
Don't
No.
sleep, please.
So now God created Adam, He created, it says, Na'aseh Adam b'salmenu kidmutenu. Right? It says, Na'aseh Adam. What does that mean?
We did.
We, who's we?
There is to read your book.
All the
Elohim.
forces.
Who's we?
Elohim.
All the forces, okay.
It's plural. Plural.
Okay, you can say that about Naaseh, maybe in the plural, as like Elohim is, but B'Salmenu Kidmutenu, in our likeness, in our image. What do the Hachamim say? It says Nimlach b'Pamalya Shelo. Says he consulted his entourage. Who's his entourage? His agents. Who are his agents? The elements, the forces. Basically, everything God brought into existence, He brought it into an ecosystem. Right? He created one thing, now that's a member of the ecosystem. Now He's creating something else, He needs to fit into that ecosystem. Right now, after everything is created, He's creating man. It says, okay, he was Jewish.
It's fine for me. I'm not.
But this is taken out of the Talmud. Nimlach b'Pamalya Shelo.
You giving agency to the elements.
There is some sort of
Michael Levine. You know who's Michael Levine?
Michael Levine. No, sounds familiar.
Like, I can send you something.
Okay, send me.
But it all started with water. What's this?
It started with water, right? But now He created man. It says Na'aseh Adam. It says Nimlach b'Pamalya Shelo. He consulted his entourage, meaning the angels, the intellects, and He created man. Right now, man is the ultimate creation of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, of the earth, right? So He started talking to the waters to create land. And He spoke to the land, or earth, to create man. From now on, He doesn't speak to the earth anymore. What does He speak to?
Man.
He speaks to man.
Oh, okay.
Now, from this stage forward, by the way, from this stage forward, what does God do? He created man in the image of God. What is God? In Bereshit 1, what is God?
Later.
Creator.
The only
What is man now in the image of God? If God is creator, then what is man?
Also great.
Also creator. So now that man has been created, God doesn't need to speak to the earth anymore, right? He speaks to man. He doesn't need to work anymore.
No.
Who works?
The man.
Man.
But it's not the creator, it's the root servant.
To
serve.
To serve what?
Everything. Yeah, God had it.
You said God has a vision for the earth, right?
To have dominion over it.
Let's look for a second on the third day. Vayomer Elohim, right? Verse 11. Look at verse 11. Vayomer Elohim, God said, Tadshe ha'aris deshe esev mazriya zera. Who wants to read the translation? Someone who wants to read the English?
God said that the earth sprout grasses.
All right. Etz peri ose peri nemino. Read that. Etz peri ose peri nemino.
Vegetation yielding seed and fruit tree bearing fruit in its time.
Okay.
Is.
And it says vayichen, and it was so. Right? It was so. I don't know. Let's see. ותוצא הארץ דשא עשב מזריע זרע למיניהו ועץ עושה פרי אשר זרעו בו למיניהו. What is עץ עושה פרי? Who wants to translate עץ עושה פרי?
Fruit tree bearing fruit.
No, that's what God commanded. God commanded עץ פרי עושה פרי. Then after the Vayichen, it was so, it says, what did the land produce? This is taken right out of money too, by the way. It's also out of the Hachamim. But God said, let there be etz peri ose peri. There should be fruit trees bearing fruit. And what did the land produce? Land produced fruit bearing fruit. Trees bearing fruit. Not fruit trees bearing fruit. Trees bearing fruit. God commanded one thing. What happened was something else. And God said, Vayomer Elohim, Kitov. This is good. First of all, God isn't a perfectionist. It's the first thing we see. Anyone who tries to be a perfectionist is saying, I'm going to do something better than God can. Right? Because God commanded, he had one intention, a specific intention. The earth didn't live up to his command. And God said it was good.
For man to fix it, right?
Huh?
He leaves something for man to fix.
And that's the point.
Are you giving like free will to nature?
I don't think it's free will to nature. I think
Agency?
I don't think it's agency here. I think what's going on here is that the physical world, by definition, by not being physical, or by not being God, is imperfect. God created an imperfect world. He has a vision for a perfect world, which is a vision that will come to be. From our perspective, it will come to be someday. From God's perspective, there's no difference between now and in another million years. Right? But he created the earth to produce something that can produce something that can produce something that can lead the world to that perfection. Now, why is this important to understand now in Chodesh Elul? Since God created us, the Christian view of humanity is that we were created, we're sinful creatures. And we say we're not sinful creatures. We have physical inclinations. We were created as imperfect beings. And even though we haven't reached perfection yet, God says, V'yomer Elohim kitov. And God created man in his image to be his partner in creation in order to bring the world to this perfection. When God says on the seventh day that he rested, that he ceased to work, he ceased to work because he now has a co-creator to pass the torch to. He doesn't talk to the earth anymore. The earth doesn't produce new things out of the earth. Who produces new things out of the earth? Man. Man can now go into the DNA of any being, read it, and edit it, and produce produce new genes, right? He can produce anything that with the materials of the physical world. And that's what God wants us as men to do, to develop this physical world. It says, when God created man in the second chapter, right, it says he created man, vaynichehu began Eden. And he placed him, vaynichehu, placed him or deposited him in Gan Eden. What else uses that same word? Vaynichehu, this is vayanach, bayom HaShevi'i. Ah? Right, vayanach. He rested. What does that mean? He rested on the seventh day, means that man is now charged with le'ovda u'shumra, to work the land and keep it. And that is the meaning of us being created in the image of God, is to continue this project that God gave us in the Torah, that he defined in the first chapter of Bereshit, his vision for where the world needs to go. And now he talks to man, and as you asked me before, he doesn't just command man, right? He says everything he wants to do in the world, he says, Ishaya says, God doesn't do anything without first consulting his Nevi'im. And he wants to destroy Sodom. He says, Hamchasani me Abraham. He says, am I going to conceal what I want to do from Abraham? Asher ani oseh. And you saw what you asked me before. It says, after the people sinned and they did the calf, right, and Moshe came down, right, God starts, he enters a dialogue with Moshe. He says, why does he have this dialogue with Moshe? He says, Nimrach b'pamal yashenu. He's now consulting his agents. Moshe is one of his agents. The Nevi'im, man as a whole, is now one of the agents of creation.
Partnership.
Huh?
Partnership. Being partner.
Partnership, yes.
But he said, leave me alone.
No, that's something else. That he said, leave me alone, when Moshe wanted to enter the land, and God said, no, don't ask me this anymore.
Not anymore.
Right? He doesn't always agree, right? In the case with Moshe,
limits.
right? He says, Moshe says, if you don't forgive the people, wipe me out. And God said, okay, so you forgave the people. In the case of Abraham, there was a back and forth. There was a negotiation. In the end, God destroyed Sodom. Says this, that you consult with someone doesn't mean you take his opinion, no matter what it is, but you take it into consideration.
No. There's a saying, like one of the rabbis said that if Moses was supposed to ask one more time,
Right,
to enter,
right.
then he.
But that was with the entering, for entering the land.
Enter that. That's why God asked him to stop.
Mm.
Actually, because he knew if he's gonna ask one more time,
Right. Right.
I'm asking you, but
No, there's a midrash that says that. What does that mean? It's a good idea to ponder.
Why would Hashem consult with Nevi'im?
Why would he consult with the angels regarding the creation of man?
Seven angels.
God consults with the Nevi'im because he wants this world to be as much ours as it is his. That's why he created us.
Normally,
It's the first republic.
they do something, they have to witness to.
What's that?
something, no? Like before the temple, when you're talking about he's talking with Abraham for Sodom, they have to witness to say, I send and I see if this is the truth.
Yeah, and then
Before he do something, before he's consult with the witnesses, is the truth.
So
He knows the truth.
So he doesn't consult with all humans, right? But there are those that are representatives of the human race. Not, by the way, not everybody has Sedem Elohim, right? We've had that class. Sedem Elohim isn't biological. Rambam, Kuzari, and I think it's very apparent in Bereshit itself. Out of Adam Harishon's 3 sons, only Shet had Sedem Elohim. It says only regarding Shet, it says Vayolad Bidmuto Kesamno. We're gonna have to finish here, right? Because our time is up.
Let's keep going. The other rap is not coming already. So
You guys need a break, don't you?
This is the break.
this is the good break, right?
Got a question?
Yeah. So in this case, for example, okay, is time these two constants, like time's first one, what comes first? Time or space? Or
They come together.
Space, it can't.
Time is a product of motion.
If time and space come together, then you Akadosh Baruch Hu on it's inside time and space and time. It needs to come one needs to come first, right?
Why? Nothing is impossible with us.
No. It's not after you create time and space, you are already creating like a clay, like a vessel,
Yeah.
right? And inside of time and space. So in this case, okay, so it could be. My question is time and space. It's like an it's not, if it's not an angel, it's a clay. It's a clay like a not as a vessel, but as a tool. Is time okay? Space is easy.
The time and space
It's
itself
easy to
is not.
denominate space as a tool. So already it's here. You can see it. We feel very comfortable with matter. That's why, like communism, it's everything related to space, related to time. You know, like my value, my work value is
Yeah.
related to how much. You know what I'm trying to say with this relationship between space, the matter that we create
Yeah.
in a framework of time.
Of time, yeah.
Is
Yeah, but think of
time-
that.
is time-
Think of that. What is worth? What
is
is worth?
time- Is time
What is interest? What is interest? Interest is the value of material over time.
the perception of matter in a could be future.
Okay, so you said future, you said matter, and you said
Value,
perception.
perception, absolutely.
Those are the three axes.
Is time a clay? Is time a tool as well?
Time and space, and what I'm arguing is also consciousness, are the geometry, are the space, so to speak, of the universe.
But in this sense, time on itself, could it be that just time on its own?
There is no such thing as time on its own. Time on its own doesn't exist.
Why not?
Same way that space on its
It's
own doesn't
impossible
exist.
there's no impossible for Akadosh Baruch Hu using your previous statements.
For the just statement.
No,
But that's how we created it, though.
no. So that then you're agreeing.
Time is a product of what?
You need to create then time first.
Time
then
time changes.
space.
You know, time changes.
Because Akadosh Baruch Hu has no space.
He has no
you
time
need-
either.
He needs to create the vessel for space to exist. Time is that vessel for space to exist. It doesn't matter in this sense if it's explosionism or multiverse. I don't care about that.
No, but what the physicists are saying is that time and space are the same thing. There's no such thing as time and space. It's called space-time.
If time is
Albert Einstein said.
yeah, if time and space is yeah, but yes, if time and space is it's just discontinuum.
You know, your watch,
have like this
your watch ticks at a certain pace, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't tick at the same pace everywhere in the universe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Why?
I know that.
What changes the
Because
pace?
it's relative and it
Relative to
changes-
what?
Yeah. To a lot of factors, not just
What are the factors?
gravity.
What is gravity?
Taking your word.
Gravity is
you know,
space, and the more the space is condensed, it affects the rate of time.
Sure. Physical conditions on a fixed state. My question is time good? Thank you, I appreciate it. Is time on its own? Could time on its own be a tool? And because if so, then for example,
A tool of who? Like, I don't know what that means.
matter is a tool. Matter is a tool. You just said it's genes are a tool. We can use matter.
Yeah.
Matter is a tool. We all agree. It's
Okay.
easy to
You're saying, can you use
can
time
time be a tool as well
for us to use?
for us to use?
I don't know.
Right now it sounds weird. I know, but depending on certain conditions, it could be a tool.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what time as a tool would mean.
You agree that space can be a tool. It's pretty much a tool.
Space.
Space.
What you're holding is in space. It takes up space.
It's space. It's space being in time. It's happening, it's happening, it's happening. That's why Kadosh Baruch Hu created. We we remember the creation.
I
but
think we're
it's
talking
also-
about
it's
space
created,
is two
created,
different
created.
things. You're talking about material. Material
Matter-
exists within space.
Yeah, it's space.
Space,
It's
no, that's
space.
not space is
No, it's space. This is space happening.
space. Space is the context.
No, space is a. No, I don't get that. No.
It's like-
Matter is space.
It's like you're talking about the letters on the page.
Matter is
I'm talking about the
space.
page.
The space is space. The space is matter.
Matter is a product of space. It's a product of light.
Matter is okay, but pretty much at the end, it's matter is space. Space is matter. No matter where you go in the universe, as long as you have space, you have matter. If you are in a black hole, it's matter. It's a part.
You have areas that don't have any matter.
Lighter, yeah, for sure. But antimatter is matter at the end. Pretty much, it's a physical thing, right? So time on its own could be a tool. This is space.
Any of them.
Space.
I don't know. In any of them. But that'll be volume
Let's
2.
set it.
All right, so I think we'll end here. Bottom line, right? God created the earth. The earth, by essence, is imperfect. By definition, it's imperfect, but it's a developing organism. And part of the organism that it created that it developed was a human being who is now co-creator with God. We are also deficient. We are not perfect. But being imperfect doesn't mean not being good. Even when something is imperfect, God says, "V'yomer Elohim kitov." And our job now on this 7th day, after God passed the torch from being creator to his co-creator, this man in Tselem Elohim, is to develop the world now to perfection as the vision described in the Torah. And that's what our job is to do. All right?
Perfecto,